Hey everybody, this is John and welcome to the free video. And as we go into this week, we've got a lot of earnings starting to kick off. And of course, we got monthly expiration. The biggest thing I'm looking at here is on the spiders. We're at the top of this wedge. We did get some kind of good momentum going into the week. Typically, monthly expiration can kind of go like this, like a Monday, Tuesday up, Wednesday, Thursday down, and then a grind higher on Friday. That's kind of a typical kind of a thing. And so this week we will be doing a lot of monthly options, expiration plays, and of course, looking at earnings. One of the big ones coming up this week, of course, is going to be Netflix. And over the next several weeks, there are a ton of earnings plays coming up. Netflix, of course, is always a lot of fun. We'll be talking this week about how to trade that one, of course. And then some of the other things that we'll be looking at too is just managing a lot of trades. So we've got CUDA. This is turning into a really big winner for us. And then the question becomes, how do we handle this and how do we manage this? And this is something that we'll be looking at, of course, in the trading room as we continue to manage this trade. But also, are there any trades like this that are coming up? So another one that I'm looking at here is setting up this week, kind of like CUDA with a weekly squeeze. You got ADS, you got a weekly squeeze, and a super low ADX. That actually looks great. So that is one we'll definitely be setting up some specific options this week on. So for those of you that are in the room that see this, remind me of this one, and we'll do that one in the room. And then the other one too, looking at some of the biotechs, they've actually had some pretty volatile weeks, but a lot of the weeklies are also setting up in squeezes, and we want to keep a look at that as well. Keep in mind too that we're starting to see some earnings, some of the bigger companies. I mean, there's always there's a lot of companies out there that are reporting earnings, but it's really just the key companies when they're coming out that provide a lot of interesting opportunities. So on Monday, there's some interesting ones. Nothing too major. As we get into Tuesday, April 14th. We can go down and see there's a couple of interesting, like not super volatile. JP Morgan, that's usually a pretty easy one. And then on the 15th, things start to get interesting. You can see here we've got some of the airlines. They've been super volatile. Charles Schwab, Cyprus, that one actually is typically pretty volatile. And then, of course, the real big one I'm looking forward to is Netflix. So that's going to be on April 13th, and that'll be after the close. So those are typically the best ones. And there is 3 ways I'll be playing this into earnings, day of earnings, and then day after earnings. One of the things that we've been doing this year, focusing on consistency. So I started with a 155 some odd thousand account, 154. And it's just been focusing on consistency. And you can see so far through at least April 12th, whatever that ratio is, it's up a little over $100,000. So that is up a little bit over 60% for kind of a little bit of a Q1. Now, most of the positions that I take here aren't, there haven't been any really like super huge trades. It's been, I can stretch this out a little bit here. I mean, my positions are all kind of, 10 contract trades, 20 contract trades, not a lot of huge, I mean, they're all small positions, especially in relation to the account size. That being said, if you look at profitability per symbol, so, the most money I've made this year has been trading Google. Was that in one trade? No. And then there's Amazon. Was that in one trade? No. Priceline. Was that in one trade? No. Netflix. Was that in one trade? No. No, these are the accumulation of, it's accumulation of multiple trades, right? Well, those trades are pretty much all around earnings. So I'm looking at, when you're looking at my portfolio, I typically am not doing something like on Netflix or, unless it's every once in a while I'll do it. Like right now I had a diagonal on Amazon, but these are some of the stocks that I like to play, religiously with specific strategies around earnings. Okay. And those are starting to come up again. So I think this is important. It's important to understand that with individual stocks, okay, as opposed to ETFs or commodities and things like that, you have 4 times a year, you have an opportunity to get edge by being more flexible than the large hedge funds, which don't have the flexibility to kind of maneuver in and out of these options positions around earnings. So free webinar on Tuesday, how to find high probability earnings trades. That's going to be Tuesday, this upcoming April 14th, 8 o'clock East Coast time. That's 7 o'clock Central, simpleroptions.com/earnings. We're going to be talking about why earnings announcements offer a quarterly opportunity you may want to take off work for. Okay, and that's important because I know a lot of folks who work full time, but really there's like, a handful of stocks where those are the days that you want to be ready for. Okay, and you could actually, if you know it in advance, which you can, that's the day to take a day off work because it has the potential to kind of make your entire month or even your quarter sometimes by playing it right. Why playing big price movement is not the only way to trade around earnings. Okay, that's the biggest fallacy about earnings, is that you're just lucky and you buy like an out of the money option and that's how you make money. No, I'm more interested in consistency. How to plan around earnings each quarter so you're not caught by surprise. Of course, avoiding the common mistakes, and believe me, there's a ton of mistakes newer traders make when it comes to earnings. And then the simple way to know which options to trade around earnings so you never pick the wrong one. Okay, so anyway, first name, email. Again, this will be Tuesday night, 8 o'clock East Coast time. Looking forward to sharing with you this information, and we'll see you there.